First, the difference between an AI agent and an LLM. So you might have worked with a generative AI model like Gemini before, maybe in the Gemini app or an AI studio. And in that case, you send a prompt and the language model sends you back a response or generates an image. The difference between an AI agent is that we're actually setting up a framework there. That's where Agent Development Kit comes in. And we layer on those components we talked about before. So as you go into defining your agent, you'll find things like a model and instruction and tools. So we're kind of putting these pieces together so that you can ask questions to this agent. It can decide which tools to use in which order that it wants to, and then gives you back a response. So that's the first thing. And then as you progress through the first notebook here, you'll actually build a very simple but powerful agent in less than 10 lines. So this agent is going to be a helpful assistant. And the key here is we're going to give it one tool. We're going to give it a pretty powerful tool, a Google search tool that's built into Gemini. And so that way your agent can not only answer questions about what it was trained on, but it can actually pull the latest information. And we'll see some of that in a second. So when you go to run this agent in the notebook, we'll create a runner, and then we can ask a question like, what is Agent Development Kit from Google and what languages are the SDK available in? And so here, our agent is not only just answering from the LLM, but it's doing a Google search, retrieving the latest information, given that we just released ADK Go, for example, last week. There's no way the model would be trained on that. But from this Google search retrieval, you can see it grabs that. It gives us a description about what Agent Development Kit is. And at the very bottom, it says the ADK SDK is available in Python, Go, and Java. And of course, it got that from its tool retrieval. So hopefully, it's a very short and simple agent, but it's very powerful, again, because it has the ability to fetch real-time information, current information. So you can kind of have fun with it. And in the follow-up question, you can ask about the weather in your city. I like to ask about sports or movies, like something the model definitely is not trained on, so you can see that it's retrieving information in real time. The last part of this is really exciting. It's the ADK web interface. And so if I switch to what you're going to see in that step, you're going to spin up the ADK web UI. And from there, you'll be able to query your agent and interact with it there. And in the later sessions, you'll actually get more into evaluation, observability, and things like that. The second notebook for day one is all about multi-agent systems and patterns. So once you've built your first simple single agent, you might have seen one of the questions was about 50 tools, right? You want to add more capabilities. So 3 things that you want to take away from this notebook that are really exciting to learn are, number 1, how do I design a multi-agent system in ADK, and why would I do that? And what benefits does it give me? Number 2, are there different ways of designing multi-agent systems? There are, and I'll show you in a second. And number 3, now that I've learned all these patterns, when do I use certain patterns for certain things? So those are 3 big things you'll learn from the second notebook, and I'll briefly show what that will look like as you're going through. So the first one is why multi-agent systems? So if you have our single agent like we had before, and you keep adding instructions and adding tools and adding complexity, at some point you're going to sort of overload the agent, just like I would get overloaded at work if you keep adding roles and tasks and tools. So then we design a multi-agent team, and we show you how to do that using what's called an LLM agent. So it gets to decide which tools it wants to use along the way. The second part of this notebook really goes through different patterns. So we go through things like the sequential workflow. So here we want to write a blog post, and we want to go exactly in an order through multiple agents, sort of like a pipeline that's very reproducible. And each step will generate or write or edit content along the way. Another pattern you'll see is parallel workflows. So you might have agents that can actually work independent of one another, and you can fan those out and run them, so you're not waiting on each agent to finish. You're actually fanning out and doing multiple things at once. And the last part here, you'll see us introduce the loop agent. So loop workflows are really useful when you need to iterate and refine on something. So we'll show you how to do that, generate a short story, generate a critic agent, and be able to iterate until some criteria is met, and then we stop. So to finish off this part of the notebook, you're going to basically see sorry about that. You're going to basically see what it would look like to go through and choose different types of agents for different tasks. So you have sequential agent, parallel agent, loop agent, and this workflow, this flowchart basically guides you through when should I use each agent for a given task. So with that, we hope you enjoy these two notebooks. And thank you, Heng Fei, for joining along. We really look forward to having you participate in the ADK community. And
your focus to the screen. Let's go to the first question. So the first question for you all is, according to today's Day 1 white paper, what are the 3 essential components that make up the core anatomy of an AI agent? So is it option A, the model, the user interface, and the database? Or is it B, the model, tools, and the orchestration layer? Or C, the prompt, the RAG engine, and the output? Or D, the reasoning engine, the memory bank, and the API gateway? So which are the essential components?
Answers in the live chat already.
Yeah.
Should we give an answer?
Yes, so let's count on a count of 3. It's B. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No worries.
I'll be careful the next time around.
All right, so next question then. Hopefully some of you got that right. So the next question would be, which of the following represents the correct order of the 5-step agentic problem-solving process described in the white paper? So the 5-step agent problem-solving process described in the white paper. Your options are A, think it through, take action, get the mission, scan the scene, and observe and iterate. Or you get the mission first, then think, then scan, then take an action, then observe and iterate. Or C, you get the mission, scan the scene, think it through, then take an action, and then you observe and iterate. Or D, scan, get the mission, think, observe, and take an action. So
I read the white paper 50 times, but I don't think I can get it. Let's see what happens in the live chat.
Yes, so let's see how many of you get this one right. So on a count of 3, I'll present the answer. 3, 2, 1. The answer is C. See how many of you got that one correctly?
Wow, I see some answers. Good job.
Amazing. I'm glad everybody's following along. And on to the next question. In the taxonomy of agentic systems, what capability distinguishes a level 2 strategic problem-solving agent from a level 1 pure reasoning engine agent? So level 2 from level 1. Think back to your thinking caps, and all your options are A, it can use external tools. So the level 2 can use external tools like Google Search, or that level 2 agents can collaborate with other agents in a team. Or is it that they can dynamically create new tools on the fly? Or is it that they use context engineering to plan complex multi-part goals? Think back, and few answers. Yeah.
I see it. I see the answer. Yeah.
Yes, great work, everyone. On a count of 3, Kanch, would you show the answer? 3, 2, 1, and it's D. Yes. So, for example, creating dynamically new tools on the fly is something more towards level 4. That's the option C. So, and D is the level 2 strategic problem solver. All right, moving on to the next question. So what is the primary role of the orchestration layer in an agent's architecture? So the orchestration layer, what role does it play when you build an agent? The options are A, it acts as the conductor. It manages the think, act, observe loop and the state. Or B, it serves as the brain, providing the core reasoning capabilities. Or does it act as the hands, which is option C? Or D, it functions as the memory which stores long-term preferences. So on a count of 3.
It's in the first 10 pages.
Yeah, it's very early. Yeah, so that's definitely. So on the count of 3, 2, 1, and the answer is A. So that's the core architecture of core, like core component of an agent, which makes an agent an agent. So yeah, moving on. The last question for today is, what defines a level 4 self-evolving system agent? And your options are: A, it can execute tasks without human supervision. B, it can evolve its own capabilities and create new tools. C, it utilizes a team of specialized agents to complete its job. D, it uses multimodal model to process images and audio natively. So what defines a level 4 agent? On a count of 3, 2, 1, the answer is B. It relates to the question we had earlier as well. So hopefully a lot of you got this right, and I see that you do. Great. Thank you, everyone, for being there with us. And that concludes our live stream.
Thank you.
Toolkit. You will be using it in Python this week, but it's also available in Java and Go. Its entire purpose is to bring real software engineering disciplines to AI agent development. We are giving developers the primitive to build modular, testable, and version-controlled agents. When we design ADK, we ask ourselves, what defines an agent? We distill it down to a few core primitives that you'll master this week. First, the concept of an agent as a core worker. Second, tools. It's like the hands and the feet, allowing the agent to interact with the world, APIs, and the databases. Third, a runner to orchestrate the orchestration. But that's not enough, as you'll discover throughout the course in this week. Agents need sessions, states, artifacts to memory persistence through the life cycle of agents, across users and across time. This stateful design is our core differentiator. It's what separates a toy chatbot from a production-ready agent that can handle complex and long-running tasks. So this is our GitHub page. Our design, grounded in real user needs, is why we have already hit over 14,000 GitHub stars and over many millions of downloads. This focus on real-world use cases extends to our production story. ADK is built on a seamless path to the enterprise. You can develop and debug locally with our integrated dev UI, ADK Web. When you are ready to deploy, you can, with minimal code changes, swap those implementations for production-grade services like Google Cloud's Agent Engine or SQL databases. So we also support a ton of incredibly advanced features, like ADK Live. Right, in the previous Q&A, we have discussed about that for real-time bidirectional text, audio, and video streaming. We also support like rich multi-agent support, like through A2A, agent-to-agent protocol, which you will learn on day 5. And the context management, including filtering, compaction, and caching, critical for performance and reducing inference cost. If I take a step back, our vision is to make ADK the de facto industry standard for agent authoring. That's why we are focused on becoming a universal and neutral standard, expanding beyond Python to Java and now Go. By learning ADK this week, you aren't just learning one tool. You are learning a framework we believe will power the future of production AI. We are committed to make this most reliable way for you to take agentic AI from prototype to global scale. So this vision only works because of the community. Whether you are new to agents or an expert, I'm excited to welcome you to the ADK community. We built ADK in the open, based on your features and your feedback. In our recent community call, we had developers from around the globe, from like students just starting out or like to architects designing enterprise systems.